Trump sat down with Fox News' Chris Wallace for an interview. Wallace asked Trump about a comment made from the head of the CDC, and this is how he replied.
Head of the CDC, Dr. Redfield, said this on Tuesday.
I do think the fall and the winter of 2020 and 2021 are going to be probably one of the most difficult times that we've experienced in American public health.
Do you agree with Dr. Redfield?
I don't know, and I don't think he knows. I don't think anybody knows with this. This is a very tricky deal.
Seriously, you don't agree with the guy that's ahead of the CDC? And it's sad how Chris actually had to ask him this question, if he agrees with top medical professionals. He then said this.
Everybody thought the summer it would go away and it would come back in the fall. Well, in the summer it came. They used to say the heat was good for it, and it really knocks it out, remember? And then it might come back in the fall. So they got that one wrong. They got a lot wrong. They got a lot wrong.
Oh really? It was the CDC that said the virus would go away when the heat starts to come? Explain this then.
You know, a lot of people think that goes away in April with the heat, as the heat comes in. Typically that will go away in April. I've spoken to President Xi. They're getting it more and more under control. So I think that's a problem that's going to go away. It's going to disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear.
At this point, it's like Trump is blaming everything he has on the CDC and saying that they made a lot of mistakes. But what he doesn't realize is that he's technically telling himself that he's made a lot of mistakes. Yeah, for blaming the CDC for something he said, well, it's still something he said. He later said this about the reopening of schools.
The state of New Jersey had thousands of deaths. Of all of these thousands, one person below the age of 18 in the entire state. One person. And that was a person that had, I believe he said, diabetes. One person below the age of 18 died in the state of New Jersey. During all of this, you know, they had a hard time. And they're doing very well now.
Wait, let me get this right. Someone who died of the coronavirus in New Jersey below the age of 18 is doing very well now? Also, if you told me there's going to be a 1% chance that an airplane will crash, maybe I'll still get on. But if you also tell me that if I get on that airplane, my parents and grandparents or whoever I live with will get on another plane but have a 60% or so chance of dying because of me, I'll tell you what, I'm not getting on that plane. And that's the problem we're faced with today, which Trump doesn't understand. Sure, young people have a very slim chance of death, but that doesn't mean they're not immune to it. They can still infect other people who can then get very sick because of you. Trump also replied to Chris Wallace about his cognitive test taken at the Walter Reed Medical Center.
In the Fox poll, they asked people, who is more competent? Whose mind is sounder? Biden beats you in that.
Well, I tell you what, let's take a test. Let's take a test right now. Let's go down. Joe and I will take a test. Let him take the same test that I took.
Incidentally, I took the test too when I heard that you passed it.
Yeah, how did you do it?
Well, it's not the hardest test.
No, but
there's a picture and it says, what's that? And it's an elephant.
No. You see, that's all misrepresentation.
Well, that's what it was on the web.
It's all misrepresentation. Because, yes, the first few questions are easy, but I'll bet you couldn't even answer the last 5 questions. I'll bet you couldn't. They get very hard, the last 5 questions.
Well, one of them was count back from 100 by 7.
And let me tell you,
93.
You couldn't answer.
All right, what's the question?
Many of the questions. I'd get you the test. I'd like to give it. But I guarantee you that Joe Biden could not answer those questions.
Okay.
Here we are, guys. The President of the United States bragging about how he aced his cognitive test. Or in other words, he's bragging about naming animals and repeating words. A doctor from Maryland tweeted, "Docs don't give a cognitive test to measure intellect. We give it to assess cognitive defects. Trump calling questions on this test difficult should raise some red flags about dementia and inability to serve. I'll tell you this, if that test is difficult, then I'm trying way too hard. The next time I get a test in school, please make me identify a camera."